interest I have in tech. So the startup's called Cosmetrics AI. Some of you in this room are actively involved in helping to build it and develop it. And I appreciate everybody who's come here to support the event. I'd like to sort of start off with a vision. What you see today is the culmination of nearly 6 years worth of effort, collaboration, innovation, and participation, most importantly. It's been a very interesting and exciting journey, which simply would not be possible without the help of some of the people in this room and others that are elsewhere. So no person is an island. That we definitely need others to help fulfill your dreams and your ambitions. And today, for me, is just a fine example of what that looks like. So I thought it'd be also important to open up the conversation to young people and those that are sometimes underrepresented in tech, because I feel as if it's important to show that we have ideas and that we are also capable of making things happen, and we have this untapped pool of talent that needs to be utilized to develop the future. I'd advise everybody in this room to try and speak to as many people as you can, because there are some that, you know, everyone here is great, of course, but there is some useful people in this room depending on what you are trying to do. So I guess half of the room may be from the tech space. Can we have a show of hands of who is working in tech or actually involved in tech at present? Okay, great. Probably half the room. Can we also have a show of hands for who is involved in the beauty or hair space that's currently in the room? Okay, cool. and then a show of hands for anybody who just came because there was free food, drinks, and and a DJ, yeah? Great. Superb. So the essence of this event is to try to merge both of these industries together to engage in conversation that hopefully stimulates action, activities, and ideas. I personally believe that as a community, especially, we have a fantastic opportunity to dominate this hair and beauty space of ours, especially for the products and services that we are partial to using. And technology for me evens the playing field. So it allows you, no matter where you are in the world, to be able to put an idea together and then transform that into something that hopefully helps thousands or maybe even millions of other people around the world. So beauty tech is sort of setting the precedent so that we can inspire and develop innovation that enables those of us who would like to have a stakehold in our hair and beauty industry. On that note, we have got some amazing speakers for you today. We've got a fantastic all-star panel of powerhouse males, myself, and females, of course, who are going to share their experiences and their opinions about what you can do if you're interested in getting into tech. We're going to talk about innovations that are happening in the hair and beauty space currently, and then of course the big bad wolf in the room, how to get that cash in your pocket to be able to build your dreams and change people's lives. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce first and foremost our host for tonight, Rachel from Coding Black Females, who is going to say a bit about what they do, and then we shall start the proceedings in terms of the panel. Before I do so, though, I really would like a round of applause for our DJs who have been entertaining us for the last hour or so. Thank you very much. Over to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Ovi. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. If you've been here before, you would know that beauty tech events are really, really inspiring. They're really good. And, you know, a lot of connections are made and a lot of businesses kind of launch from this space as well. My name is Rachel. I'm from Coding Black Females. I'm the operations manager there. My boss is standing at the back. Hi, Shani. And Coding Black Females essentially is an organization that empowers and educates and supports women within tech. So we help you kind of like learn new skills or get promotions and just make sure you're of value and appreciated in the space that you're in within the community, within your tech communities as well. So it's a wonderful place for Black women to network. So if you haven't joined our community, make sure you do. We're on Meetup, we're on Slack, and you can reach out to myself, Charlene, Tara, and we can get you connected as well. But yeah, thank you so much for coming today. We have some amazing people on our panel today. We've got Lauren, we've got Eve, we've got Jade, and Hannah, and Ovi himself as well. So I will be hosting the panel today. I'll be asking questions, and hopefully after we can get some questions from you guys. So yeah, thank you. Cool, shall we get into it? Hello. Cool. Amazing. Thank you guys for coming. Can everybody see? Do we need to open up a little bit more? All good? Cool. So beauty tech, is it new is the question? Or is it something that has been around for a while? I guess we'll find out from you guys today. So I will start by asking you guys to give a quick intro. So name, what you do, and obviously plug your socials as well.
Hi everybody. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. No, I'm kidding. I am Ovi King, the founder of Haircare Revolution and Cosmetrics AI. Extremely passionate about empowering our community through entrepreneurship and technology. I speak at events up and down the country. Quick plug, I've actually been asked to speak about the state of the hair and beauty industry now that there is an economic crisis ahead on BBC on Sunday. So tune into that if you can. That should be cool. And thanks for all coming and giving us your ears and your time. Thank you.
I'll just echo what Ovi said. You know, thank you all for taking the time out today to come, and hopefully we can offer some good advice to you all. So I'm Laura Mathurin. I'm a relationship manager at Silicon Valley Bank. So as the name would suggest, it is a US headquartered bank in Silicon Valley, looking after tech and innovation companies. I manage a consumer tech portfolio of early stage companies that have raised or are doing revenues up to £5 million or dollars. And hopefully today I can impart some of my experiences that I've seen with early stage companies within the consumer space, including obviously hair and beauty.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, wonderful. Hi, I am Eve Ladeji. I have spent the last 10 years working in fashion and beauty into technology space. So I've been at Burberry for a few years and then Jimmy Choo for a few years. I just recently departed Charlotte Tilbury Beauty after 2.5 years, and now I have just joined some ex-Vogue editors at a new startup called Collagery, where we're building from 0 to 1. It's a marketplace for fashion and beauty, so please check it out and let me know what you think. User research is always good. And I act as a product lead there, so I'm building out a whole new team. And I'm just hoping to share knowledge with you guys today and to get knowledge back from you as well, because you guys are just knowledgeable as the rest of us on the stage. And yeah, hopefully I can be of use.
Hey there guys, I'm Jade. So I'm the founder of a beauty tech platform called Main Hookup. So we help people to find and book appointments with local Afro hairstylists. I've been doing that for about 3 years and have spent about 8 years in tech, kind of working mainly in marketing roles. So I've kind of worked my way through established companies, startups, scale-ups, and like everybody else on the panel, just hoping that I can help people to transition into tech.
Hi, my name is Hannah Faseo. Hi, my name is Hannah Faseo. I work as a brand partnerships manager for beauty and luxury clients at Snapchat at the moment. I've been in the tech space for a little while, so I've been at TikTok before Snapchat and then Meta before that. I also co-founded a networking platform or community for Black women in tech as well called the Tech Sisterhood. So love all things tech, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation about that, and also love the tech and beauty space because that's where I work predominantly at the moment. Yeah, looking forward to having a lovely conversation with you guys and imparting any knowledge or advice I can.
Thank you so much. I feel like we have so much expertise on the panel today. So yeah, without like wasting too much time, I'm going to get into the first question, which is, how do you feel about the Afro hair and beauty industry at the moment, and based on your experiences?
As I've got the microphone. So for me personally and professionally, I think the Afro hair and beauty space is moving leaps and bounds, right? So although I'm not necessarily in the Afro hair and beauty space, my mum was a hairdresser, recently retired. So I've grown up in a shop with Black hair and beauty, right? So from what I've seen growing up to the transition of today, and even just people, you know, taking it a step back, people's mindsets about their hair, even 10 years ago, you know, there's such a difference. And I think professionally, what we're seeing now with the amount of, you know, I'll use dollars, amount of dollars being put into this space, it really just highlights how quickly and how huge this market has become.
Okay. No, I feel exactly the same. My best friend, who's kind of my chosen sister, her aunt ran a hair shop as well, and I was in there every single day after school, and I saw beautiful Black women getting their hair done every single day, and it's the only way that I know how to take care of my own hair now. So personally, I just believe that Black hair is beautiful, and I'm really happy to see the world starting to take that in now as well, because I remember a time when it wasn't. And as you can see, half my natural hair is out now, and that was not the case a few years ago. I was in wigs. So I feel really strongly that personally, like the way that Black hair is being perceived and being marketed and being shared is a really beautiful thing. And it's about time that we start capitalizing on that. And it's even more about time that we start capitalizing that with software technology. So I feel the same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what to add. But I mean, I think it's one of those things where you can see an industry almost transforming in front of you. Yeah. And you can see there's been so much change, not just in the way that the products are marketed to people, but also to the way that people think and feel about their own hair and think and feel about themselves. And when you see more and more people that look like you, when there's more of that representation, when you see, you know, I think only in the past couple of years have I been able to buy hair products and Boots. Not that I would go to Boots because we know we can get more elsewhere. But the fact is it's now available to people, and that option wasn't there before. So, you know, if I needed to get a hair product after school, I had to go run and find a hair shop and get home before my mum told me off. So, you know, you don't have to do that anymore. And you can see that there are younger people that aren't having to have the same experiences that you had. And when you can see that transition, that's when you know that good change is happening. That doesn't mean that there isn't still more change that needs to come, but at least we can see that it's happening and it's going in the right direction.
And yeah, I'll echo everything the other panelists said. I think the only thing I'd add to that is like super exciting seeing lots of these new brands as well. So brands like Ruka, brands like Pattern, The super exciting thing about them is a lot of them are Black owned. I know lots of the shops we used to go to that sold all the products that we'd use for our hair never really belonged to the community. And I think there's something so like strong and important about that, you know? So I think that's super exciting. And I think that's what I'd say is the most exciting thing about the industry and change right now.
So for me, this period in time that we're blessed to be in seems to be a time of opportunity. So there are lots of us who are out there who may not be happy with the work that they're doing or have skills that are underutilized or underappreciated. I would say that the future in terms of the opportunity is us getting together those that are interested in innovation or building an industry and actually participating using the skills or the capital that you have available to build something that we can be proud of and that we can own. I think that this is a wonderful time to actually do that. We've got more access to capital than we've ever had before. We've got talented people everywhere we look. So why shouldn't we focus on an industry that joins us and everybody has experience of? It's not agriculture, it's not food, it's not property development, it is hair and beauty. It's the most exciting space for me at this moment in time. What a wonderful time to be a participant in this scene.
Absolutely, those are some amazing answers. So touching on what you said, obviously we have access to capital. We've got people who've got the opportunity to launch businesses in the way that they haven't before. But what sort of challenges, particularly within like the Black hair space, what sort of challenges do you see or experience, with in that field?
So obviously I work a lot with, companies that are raising money. I work a lot with investors. And still, unfortunately, to this day, one of the biggest hurdles is understanding the market. I've had people come and tell me, I've spoken to an investor, they don't get it. They don't, understand how much money is spent in this market. And I'm like, are you crazy? Do you know how many products I've got sitting in my cupboard that I've wasted money on? Oh my God, like, it's ridiculous. I've probably spent £1 million over my lifetime on hair products. And my hair's pretty straight, right? I just have to blow dry it and straighten it, and that's it. So, and do you know what the joke is? I don't actually have to use much products in my hair, right? Because it gets too greasy. So, the amount of money that I've spent, because I didn't even understand my hair, right? Never mind people whose hair isn't as easy, to just blow dry it and straighten it. How much money is being spent? Investors don't get it. So that is one of the biggest hurdles, I think. In the US, it's a completely different ballgame, right? There are billions of pounds being put into this industry, right? Or millions, let me not exaggerate. But it's because they understand that it's $1 billion industry. So we still have some learnings to do in the UK, and we just need to keep beating that drum. But also there is a bigger issue around having people who look like us making those decisions, right? Who understand what that money is going towards and the market and the space, which, we are trying to do, but we need more. I know there's lots of lovely tech people in the room, but we need some more people who want to get into investment as well. And there are loads of programs and stuff to help do that. I'm not going to plug it now, but if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'll do some plugging on that kind of thing. But yeah, my opinion.
I'll keep it short and sweet. No. Mate, I don't work in the hair care sector, but I'm a customer, and the biggest hurdle for me is just access. Like, honestly, it's access. I just want access to everything really quickly. So just give it to me. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's having that access, having that availability, that's the biggest thing. Because what we find is that, so we have all these products, there's all this information, but it's almost like, how do I get access to what I need for me? Because everybody has like slightly different hair texture, everybody has slightly different issues, everybody has to be able to kind of navigate their way through this space, but you know what you need, but you also don't know how to find it. So it's like, how do you get to a point that you have that information, access to those products that you need? So I feel like the waters are still muddy. Like, that's a bit of an issue. And in terms of building businesses, I completely agree. It's like the people who are making those decisions to invest, they have to understand the problem. And that always helps when you're speaking to somebody that, you know, that like say it looks like you, because they know what the problem is, because they've experienced it. And if we don't have enough like investors in a room that understand that problem, we're always going to have access, like problems with getting access to that capital. That's why I think it's like, what is it, 2% of funding goes towards women of color? That's 2%. That's a very small bucket in comparison to the number of women that are out there building their own businesses who deserve to have access to that money. And what you see a lot of the time is they get to a point where it's like they can't bootstrap forever, because if you look at the amount, like it kind of starts all the way from the beginning. If you look at the amount of money that you say people make, and then you look at that kind of that divide in terms of what people in the Black community make versus other communities, how do you expect them with that limited capital within their pocket to constantly be bootstrapping? And then to add on top of that, we also usually have added responsibilities. You've got families that need to be taken care of. You've got like extended families when you have people that are super close. And so you have to navigate your way all the way through that to then find an investor who wants to invest in you, who believes that you're the right person, it's the right time, it's the right product. And I feel like those are quite big hurdles. Some of them are like systemic, that's going to take a while to break down. But if we are more aware of it, we are the people that are going to be responsible for changing it. Because ultimately we want a stake in this industry that we haven't had a stake in for so long. And so we have to be willing, and well, we're already resilient. We've been pushing and pushing and pushing, but we have to keep pushing to make sure that we're the decision makers. Yeah. And once you become the decision maker, you can decide where that money goes. So yeah.
That's hard to follow. For sure. I think from like a slightly different angle, from my sort of field that I work in, which is mainly in advertising and marketing, one thing that I tend to get a little frustrated by is the strategy that lots of, like, even when you're thinking about, I think about like, you know, the African auntie that does your braids. I'm always like, wow, if she just did some Instagram ads, like, and localized it in her area, like the amount of money that, or the amount of business she'd be able to get that way. So like this whole idea of like digitalizing a little bit more. I think it's something that a lot of the businesses in this sort of sector or field don't do as much of, whereas in every other vertical they're doing it like crazy. If you go on TikTok, you have someone who's selling something out of their bedroom, but in a few days they can go viral on something, and that's their strategy, a big part of their sales strategy as well. So I think, yeah, I guess one, having like the education, access, and also knowledge to like kind of include advertising and marketing in your strategy as well, is something I think is a hurdle, or something that we should kind of work on moving past as well.
Interesting point. So we've touched on like marketing, we've touched on obviously the systemic problems that we have, we've touched on, you know, gaining access to making the decisions and the money as well. So Lauren, I know you said that you work a lot with the UK and the US. Who would you, I mean, I think you've kind of touched on them sort of leading the market, but how are they closing that gap? Like, what makes them more investment worthy?
I don't know whether it's, you know, them being more investment worthy, because I think there's some really good companies here in the UK who, if they were in the US, would probably get that investment as well. I just think it's a completely different mindset, and the investors in the US, there's a lot of Black investors in the US, and there's, you know, it's not just the individuals. There's like a whole funds that are dedicated to Black founders and making sure that, you know, they're given the same opportunities. In the UK, we do have funds that are aimed at Black founders or diverse founders, but they're also struggling to actually close their funds themselves. So it's all good and well saying, you know, we're an investor, we want to give you money, we want to, you know, do this, that, and the other. But how are you able to do that when the actual GPs don't want to give you any money? Do you know what I mean? So we're in a chicken and egg situation. So we have great companies, we have people who want to do the right thing, but it's just the same problem. No one's getting access to the money. So my personal opinion is that as a community, we need to be doing more together, to pull together to try and boost these companies. It's easier said than done, because like you said, you know, we've all got our own financial responsibilities or issues, right? Let's keep it real. But at the end of the day, only we can make that change. And, I stand by that. As I said, I work with these investors day in and day out, and nothing has changed, unfortunately. There's a lot of lip service, but not much moving. So I think in the US, there's more, the needle's being moved a lot more. So these companies are getting that opportunity. But in the UK, we're still not quite there yet. Anyone else?
That's too good.
Thanks, girls.
So my next question, I guess, is how do you think technology can change the industry?
I think that's you,
Amy. Personally, I think technology enables access. Technology evens the playing field. So we've got people who are in their bedrooms now who are able to do things that you had to be in a completely functional lab to do just 20 years ago. The technology that's on your phone at present is far more advanced than the technology that they used to send the first spaceships to the moon. So that should tell you the era that we are in. Alongside that technology, though, we also need stimulation and understanding of how to utilize that technology. So it's about paying attention, taking time to kind of learn and research and be inspired to see what you can do with the ideas that you have to make that technology that potentially can make an impact in the marketplace. And that there is so many things that can be done, because as you all know, there are so many challenges. You can literally flip a coin and choose to go for hair, for skin, for fashion, for makeup, for anything, anything that you can imagine at this moment in time. There's a technological solution that is dying to be made to solve that issue.
Okay, I will. Technology. Okay, so I work predominantly in building software products with like a squad of engineers and data scientists and UX designers and researchers. And software can change anything. It can be the answer to anything. We no longer need the physical. I mean, the physical is great. I'm not saying there should always be balance. There should always be like an omni-channel type of solution to things, like merging those two worlds together. But we shouldn't underestimate the power of software technology. We shouldn't underestimate how much it can teach you, how much it can educate you, and how much solutions it can give you to your day-to-day problems. So in hair care, I think technology will be able to solve the problem that I was saying that I have, which is access. I want an app on my phone that is able to be diagnostic and tell me when my hair is too greasy and tell me when it's too fine, the same way that I can go to a store and I can put something on my face and it will tell me where I'm getting acne. Like, I want that, that is technology. In the beauty space, in terms of like just foundations, makeup, and whereas previously at Charlotte Tilbury, same building as you in TikTok, actually. We use technology for everything. I used it for everything. So I did an insane amount of personalization and building loyalty through me understanding who each of you are and what you want, and therefore building intuitive systems using logic and AI and all sorts of things to be able to give you results which then make you convert more. And you might not realize you're converting more, but I do. So, and then that therefore creates further revenue, and it helps us to grow and to scale. We should not just be leaving this in other people's hands. We should bring it back home over here, because we all know that we need better Black beauty spaces, and we should bring that in-house. in fashion, you guys have all probably seen like AR and how that's used, but then also just like e-commerce, building out again intuitive systems where you can shop, where you can go deeper into sites, where you spend 10 minutes as opposed to 2. Something I'm working on right now, which is increasing general engagement. And by engagement, I mean how long you're spending looking at my site as opposed to bouncing and going off. This is all technology, but it's informed technology. It's like tailored personalization. So I just think that just constantly think of how you consume things and problems, and what you go to look to help solve your problems, and then think about how powerful that is for other people. I think we underestimate too much how much it kind of works, and the sky's the limit, essentially.
So many answers that are difficult to follow. But I think when it comes to technology, it's all about finding a way to solve multiple problems. And I feel that for us in particular, like especially, well, Black people in general, but Black women in the hair and beauty space, we've kind of been neglected for so long that we're very used to finding very manual ways of solving problems. So we don't automatically go to technology because we just haven't ever been able to find a space that actually caters to us. So you kind of almost put it on the back burner and think it's not going to be there. And instead of thinking it's not going to be there, you can be the people that actually create that solution. And a lot of the time when you look at founders who have built products, anything from like Google, Airbnb, any of those big companies, most people have started with a problem that they had. How can I solve this problem? Like, how can I minimize this issue? And then it comes down to finding the right people to design and build and make it work. But like the fundamental, like the crux of the idea is I've had a problem. How can I solve it for myself and for other people? So for example, when I was building Main Hookup, I saw like my nan and some of my mum's side of the family moved from London to Bath. But they were living there for maybe 2 or 3 years, and every 3 months or so, they come back to London to get their hair done. So they would literally spend as much on their coach fare, traveling to and from London as they would on getting their hair done. And I was like, Nana, you're like 85, you can't keep doing, like, this is not sustainable. Like, you need to find somebody in Bath or somebody in Bristol. You can't be doing like a 3-hour journey to London and then a 3-hour journey back. Spending 4 hours in a chair, like, that's not good for anybody, regardless of your age. And so for me, it was like, how do I create something that stops people from having to do that? And how can I create something that helps me to find someone? Because I basically went back to my natural hair and found it very difficult to find somebody in my local area without having to speak to other people, without having to ask a best friend or an auntie or a cousin. It was like, why can't I just use my phone? We literally have mini computers in the palm of our hand. Why can't I use my phone? So yeah, I might have gone a bit off topic, but I think ultimately technology is here to solve problems. And as long as you can find a way to do it really intuitively and simply, so that people aren't adding like a super complex process to their day-to-day life. Like everybody said, the sky's the limit. There are so many opportunities.
Yeah, for me, I think lots of technology is about like also leveraging the technology we have access to already. Coming from like the social media space, I think one of the really exciting things that we've seen over COVID, I guess, was like the rise of like the utilization of AR and beauty. So when you couldn't go into the store anymore, how do you try on which lipstick shade fits your skin tone? How do you find how the eyeshadow looks on you? Whereas before, like, I don't think I would have ever bought like a foundation online without having physically seen it, done the swatch myself. Whereas now, like, the technology is there to be able to do that through AR on a lot of these platforms already. And I think that's a really exciting part that I work with lots of my beauty brands with, is like how to launch their camera strategy and how to launch their AR strategy on Snap. When you think about Black women, currently talking with like Hantu, for example, of how to like switch hairstyles. So like, that's terrifying for me to go from long to short, or go from like which sort of curl pattern do I want, or all of these things, because it's such a big decision, right? Or like which sort of braids you want, things like that. all of these things can be done now through AR. So I think one thing to always keep in mind is also leveraging the things that we already have access to. Like, how do you launch your brand on Snap? How do you launch your brand using Instagram is like going leaps and bounds in AR now as well. And then the other thing I would also think about is, like, I think another thing with COVID, I saw is like the narrative around beauty is changing a lot in general. And I saw this a lot at TikTok or on the TikTok platform, whereas before, beauty used to be really about like the unattainable. So like everything in beauty was like about like being perfect, being like having that supermodel who like looked a certain way, had a certain type of hair. Whereas, right? Whereas now it's very much about like, it's very different to that now. It's not about the unattainable. It's about like someone who looks like you, and it's about like acceptance. A lot of beauty is no longer about masking yourself. It's about showing your true authentic self, whether that's through your hair or through your makeup, or different things like that. And I think one thing that's really exciting for brands is like how they can rethink about how they position themselves as a brand, because you don't have to be a perfect brand anymore. A lot of you guys who might be working on building your own products, like on TikTok, if you go on TikTok, people are like documenting their whole journey from scratch. Like, I'm starting my own I'm building my own product. Watch me do this. And by the time you go to market to launch your product, you have all of these people who've been following you along your journey the whole time. So when you do your first launch, you've got, even if it's only 2,000 people, that's 2,000 more people that you would have had. So I think that's another super exciting thing, is like how to leverage, and everyone's got TikTok, right? So like not everyone's got it, but everyone's got access to it. So it's about how you leverage all of these, different tools that we have already as well.
Because you said something super interesting about AR. I just want to say this to the room. From working in beauty, there are a couple of AR independent companies that different beauty brands, like whether it's like MAC or whether it's Charlotte Tilbury or whether it's I don't know, Dior, Armani, whoever it is, who now building independent AR companies to do the whole like try it on me thing. Like, you know, when you can go on your phone, you like try it on me, try on the foundation, the red lipstick. I'm telling you now, none of those AR companies respect the multiple hues of Black women. It's a gap in the market. So I'm just letting you know, in case anyone wants to tap in to that gap, just take a note, because it's a huge gap in the market. We tested out so many of them, and they don't respect, like I said, the multiple hues. There's so many hues of Black women and also Asian women, and it gets it perfectly right for the women in the middle, which are Caucasian women, but for the rest of us, we are excluded, and we either have to be like shade 13 or shade 50. And it's like, actually, there's so much in the middle, and it's a huge gap. So if anyone wants to create something, you can make a lot of money out of it. Interesting.
There are so many like interesting ways in which like tech can just change the landscape. It's so amazing to hear. I feel like you kind of touched on my next point, which was like, what would you love to see developed? Like, I mean, I love the sound of like being able to try different hairstyles and like, you know, just knowing what products are suitable for my hair. I know Ovi, you're working on you know, different hair textures and porosity and all that kind of stuff. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. So, interestingly enough, Eve mentioned what her ideal product would be, and I was sitting there looking at some of my collaborators in the room who know exactly what we're building, and it's pretty much along that line in terms of being able to identify someone's hair type, and take in and give you sort of taking a holistic approach to your hair and skin, your hair and skincare, and then deliver a prescriptive recommendation about what you should do in terms of what you should use on your hair and skin, and also lifestyle changes that you should include in order to achieve the results that you have. The reason I sort of had access to this insight was because, one, I've been doing hair and beauty events for 7 years, so I've heard the complaints a million times, if not more so. And and as I kept hearing those complaints, it became apparent to me that people in my family, my mother, my sister, my aunties, my cousins, had been complaining about the same thing since I was at I was old enough to hear the English language. So, so this is by no means a new thing. The challenges are old, but the solutions are new, and that's wherein lies the opportunity. So, in terms of what happens next, I think the future is customization. So customize stuff for people to use, and that they can perhaps customize themselves, and then also personalization. So one size does not fit all. That is the motto of the year. One size does not fit all. So what can we build and develop that you look at, or you pick up, that feels as if it was made for you? That is, for me, where the future lies. And it makes no difference if it's in hair or in fashion or in marketing. The future for me is about personalization and customization.
Okay. You happy for that one, yeah? I really like that. And I'd kind of echo having that kind of customized product, because like I said, I've spent thousands of pounds on hair products, and I still can't find one that works. You know, like my hair's naturally kind of wavy, curly, but no product ever makes it look good. It either looks greasy or it looks dry, or it's just a mess. So then I just default to straight. I don't want to wear my hair straight. I've got naturally curly hair, so I want to wear it that way. But I will just end up looking like a scarecrow if I do. So we're here. Oh, okay, all right, thank you. But yeah, so something that you can customize for yourself that works. Yeah, I think that's it for me.
I just want your product.
Yeah, literally.
I think, yeah, it's that customization and personalization, but also I want to be told when there are like products or ingredients in products that I should be wary of. So I want to know what's going in my hair. So it's not just, oh, these products could be good for you based on your hair type, your porosity, your density. It's like, actually be wary of these because this has loads of alcohols in it, and those types of alcohols aren't good for your hair. It's like, I don't want to be mindless. I want to be educated. So tell me what I should be using and why. So I don't just want recommendations, I want that knowledge as well. And I think that's what's really missing in the industry, is that you have all of these people that are making these fantastic products, but they're not all like trying to educate their audience that they really understand why that product is good for their hair, or why it's good for people that have a particular problem, whether it's like dryness or itchy scalp, or, you know, like you say, if people, you know, their hair takes up too much moisture, that I need to know why it's a good product as well. So I think if someone can make that, please, I would be all over it.
I echo that for sure. So for me, I think like it actually doesn't even need to be overly complicated. I think the idea that you have to create something for the first time is not true. Like there's no one else, like there's people who choose from 80 different brands of foundation, but we're stuck with MAC and Fenty, love Fenty. But like, you know what I mean? Like you can have a million Fentys. There's a million other ones as well. So I think, first of all, it doesn't even need to be new. And also the problem can be super simple. One thing I love about Pattern is like, their conditioner bottle is like that big and the shampoo is that big. And I was like, why are they the first one to do that? I always use so much more conditioner than shampoo. Super simple, like the most simple problem, but like everyone has it. And I think also sometimes thinking really, not small, but thinking really simple also really works. I feel like this kind of sounds like what you did, but I'd love like Treatwell for like, just all like black skin, black hair, black, all of that. That'd be my ideal product.
One thing I'd like to add is that there are several people who have been working on building recommendation platforms to find hair stylists and hairdressers and that type of thing. And I think there's a great opportunity there. One of the things that I think that we also should include there, though, is that instead of 10 different people working on solving the same issue, we should also start to think about how can we collaborate to make a mega company instead of 10 sort of small silos. We have an opportunity to do so. And I think it would be a lot more impactful if everybody brought their talent, their resources and their skills into one direction, if they were all passionate about the same sort of idea. And I use the recommendation service because it's popular, but there are lots of other things that people are beginning to talk about. So work together is the message there for me.
I think that's really key. And I think given that we're in a beauty tech space today as well, we obviously have a lot of people who are in tech, but not necessarily beauty, but can still relate to a lot of the problems that we have and might want to do something about that. I think, coming together to use technology to build some of these platforms that you are building, that people in the community are building, it makes so much sense. But from your experience, what skills would you say are most in demand from, like, what do we need our tech people to do to help us get to these spaces that we can have these wonderful platforms and stuff?
I feel like everyone can contribute to that. There are so many, I think there are so many skills that are in demand. I mean, technical skills are obviously a big one. So people that are developers, and we were having this conversation earlier, is that there's a shortage of these people that are really, really good. It's kind of almost oversaturated in terms of the number of people who want to get in, but the number of people that are really educating themselves and training themselves to the level that they need to be at to get those opportunities is really few and far in between. And a lot of that comes to kind of like recognizing your natural skill set and then figuring out where you can plug in the gaps, like where do I need to improve, where do I need to get better in order to become, the type of developer that somebody is going to be prepared to take a chance on, especially when it's your first opportunity. So I'd say, I mean, you can shed light on that much more than I can, but I think like those kind of technical skills are hugely in demand. I think marketing, so that's like more my background. I've worked in marketing for 10 years, marketing in tech for about 7. And I think it's become very oversaturated. It's one of those few jobs where everybody thinks they know what they're doing. And it's really not that simple. So I think, again, it's like actually understanding the crux of it. Like marketing is more than social media management. It's more than understanding how a couple of platforms work. It's like this holistic view of how do you make them work and interact with each other? How do you create a kind of like demand for a product? How do you position a product to people? How do you make people recognize that your product is the best solution when there are 10 other options on the table? If you look at the best like companies, or say best companies that are best at marketing in the world, what have they done to make you believe that they're the best? Like, what have the Nikes, the Apples, the Samsungs of the world, what have they done to make you think that they are the best at what they do? Because practically they might not be the best, but you believe that they are. And so that's how you understand how to become a good marketer. And it takes a while to get there, but I think that a lot of people are kind of looking for quick fixes. Like, how can I quickly build an audience? How can I quickly build an email list? How can I quickly do this, that, and the other? Those skills are great, don't get me wrong, especially when you're working in a startup and you need to be scrappy and get things done quickly. But in the long term, when you need to understand strategically what it means to build a business and build demand, you need to do more. And I think that's what people aren't trying to do. People are trying to do the quick things that make them seem appealing because they can put numbers on their CV. But if you put those numbers on your CV and you cannot back it, when you're in a position where people are going to pay you big money to be there, you've got a problem. So people need to be doing more to educate themselves in those fields, especially because it's really oversaturated at the moment. So yeah.
Well, she said everything. Okay, I'm going to break this down into buckets. If you want to get into product management, I said product, not project. Yeah. If you want to get into product management, hustle, work hard, become a storyteller, become someone that when you are speaking anywhere, when you're in a room with anybody, train your brain to speak about things like you would a story. Take people on a journey with you. That is what product is all about. Make sure that you try to inspire throughout everything you do. You are a salesperson when you're a product person. You are selling an idea all the time. and you are a gambler. Now, I don't believe in gambling because I'm Catholic, so, but you are a gambler, and all you're doing is you're thinking and you're making strategic moves and you're looking at data to tell you what might work, not what will work, what might work. And then you're convincing people to build it. And it might fail, and that's fine. Doesn't matter if it fails, but you're gonna have some that doesn't fail, and the ones that don't are gonna make you I'm gonna swear. It's gonna make you a crap load of money. And that's it. That's all you're doing. I'll tell you now, out of a quarter of work, so there's 4 quarters in the year, out of a quarter of a year of work, I probably launch about 3 to 4 software products. One of them does how I expect it to do. I'm still fine. That's product. If you want to be an engineer, I'm not an engineer, so I can't speak to exactly what you should be doing, but I work with engineers every single day and I hire engineers. You need to have attention to detail. We were speaking about this earlier, attention to detail. You need to have an element of being quite analytical, and you need to be able to see how things work. So, you know, when you see kids playing with puzzles and stuff like that, you need to be able to, or let's say Legos, right? Legos is the perfect thing. Engineers love Legos. They genuinely do. It's being able to see a bunch of Legos on a floor and being able to understand how to build it up into a Lego castle without necessarily seeing the instructions. It's about being insightful, right? Now, if you want to be a digital product designer, you need to be creative, but you need to be able to see a journey. Customer journey is your thing, all right? You need to be able to connect the dots and understand what the customer wants and what is the best user experience. That's all you care about when you're a designer. All you care about when you're a digital designer is creating a beautiful customer experience. And from a product perspective, that is their job. And that's what they tell me to do. And if you want to be a scrum master, which is someone that basically rallies the team and kind of hammers down agile, you just need to be an organizer. You need to be a nag. If you're a nag, you're going to be great. It's fine. And I think I went for product engineer, designer. Yeah, that's everything. Okay. That was
so good. So for me, talent is absolutely key. We can't build the future. We can't build products without great talent. I've actually spent the majority of 2022 actually recruiting tech talent using different avenues and different strategies. So this is something I think about every day, and have noticed sort of trends and patterns. My background is in marketing as well, of course, and I'm also a behavioral scientist by profession. So very much interested in how the mind works, psychology, driving sales, etc. Great. There is a real difference though between marketers that are worth their weight in gold and marketers that are mediocre. The majority of marketers out there, of course, are mediocre. I would say they do a few, they can do a few posts, drive a little bit of traffic, and then they want to be paid heaven and earth to do average work, which isn't cool. The way I kind of look at talent now is through value. So where are the professions that are in most demand, especially in terms of tech? I would say we need more people that are proficient in data science. People seem to be leaning more towards data analytics because it's maybe easier to learn. You can do a 4-month course and then start calling yourself a data analytics pro. Fine. But we need scientists. We need actual people that have got experience in gathering data and using that to tell stories and understand behavior. I also think that data is gold. So data is the new oil. So those people that are able to manipulate, harness, utilize, enhance data that we gather about human beings or projects or businesses, will have access to the oil of the future. Alongside that, we need engineers, so software developers, people that can actually build technology. Another trend, which is a gift from God that I have, I can see trends months, weeks, years, and years in advance. Thank you. Is that people tend to or are tending to at the moment lean towards the design part of things. So the design part of things is the nice, the fun part, the creative part. And there are now loads of people who can design. So we're spoke for choice, and the cost and the value that they bring will naturally go down. Whereas we look at engineers and data scientists, I saw a friend of mine who runs a startup recently turned down a job for £500,000 as a software engineer, and he would have got to work remotely. £500,000 a year to sit on your couch in your Bermuda shorts and do the work you're trained to do. That's insane. But it goes to show you where the value is. Like, companies, brands, etc., value the skills that this person has to such a degree that they're prepared to pay him an exorbitant amount to utilize his skills. So look at where the value is and the demand is, and let's get more people, especially from our communities that understand these things, to go towards those.
That's amazing. So we've had software engineers, we've had data scientists, we've had AR, I think we spoke about before as well, product designers. That's a good list to get through, guys. So definitely look up the skills that you need for all of those and find what's aligned with you. But yeah, what would you, in terms of beauty, going back to like obviously the main topic of the day, beauty tech, how do you feel that, how do we access like funding? I guess this is more for you, Lauren. But how do startups access funding? I know we said that it's hard because we have all these barriers in terms of, having people making the decisions of who the funding goes to as well. But how do you get in the space to be in that position anyway?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is knowing your market and knowing your numbers, right? So any investor that you go to speak to, whether it be an angel investor, whether it be friends or family, the first thing they're going to want to know is how are they going to make their money back? That's it, right? You can have the best product in the world, but if there's no one buying your product, no one cares, right? So the first thing I would say is have a product which you can sell, yeah? Now in this market where we don't know what's going on in the economy, well, we do know what's going on, it's not great. Investors especially are wanting to see companies who are making money. Before, if you're lucky and if you had a really good product, they might, take a gamble on you based on your idea, based on your projections. Now they want to know that you're making money. They want to know that you have a scalable product, and they want to know that that product can be scaled outside of the UK, right? It needs to be something that can be sold everywhere. So I think the first thing I would say is have a product that is a trusted product that people are purchasing, people want. Number two, try and get some of your own capital in there as well, because if you've got a great product and you're saying, right, I've made 3 pots of, I don't know, hair grease, right? And it's really, really great. It works on all my sisters, but no one's bought it, online. They're gonna say, well, that's great, this works on your sisters, but where's your clients? Where's your customers? Yeah. So have your waiting list, have whatever it is to document and show that people want this product. Yeah. And then I think the third thing I would say is have a backup plan as well, right? Because unfortunately, we put all our eggs in these investors' basket, and if they don't say yes, then we don't have a product. Okay, well, what's the backup plan? How do we move forward? There's a massive skincare company at the moment who's turning over millions of pounds. I technically shouldn't say the name because I'm talking to them at the moment as a potential clients, but they recently about a year ago, they had a name change. They're doing really well. You should see them on Instagram quite a bit. That's what I'll say. Anyway, yeah, it was a clue, right? But anyway, so they're doing millions of pounds worth of revenue. They started the company with £5,000 and they just marketed the hell out of it online. And now they don't even need to talk to investors. They can do, but it's their choice now. And actually the investors are coming to them, wanting to give them money, wanting to have a bite of that pie. So I think the three things that I said previously, plus, having a backup plan and not just relying on the investor to move your company forward. Use them to scale, not to launch, is what I'd say. Anyone got anything else to add?
The only other thing I would add is that there are grants available. And this is something that lots of people don't know. So things like within your local councils or even like innovation grants, if you look online, you'll see that, the application process, it might be a little bit of time that you've got to put in and invest into it. But if you end up getting access to it, it's free money. You then have that money to invest in your business, especially if you don't necessarily have that capital yourself. Like I said, everybody has their own financial situation. Everybody's got things that they have to do and, homes to look after. So if that is your situation and you have a fantastic idea and you're like, actually, if I were to be given £5,000 or if I were to be given £10,000, that would be me set. I'd at least have that bit of money, that bit of cash at the beginning. Look for those grants and make the applications and take the time to do the applications thoroughly, because you will kick yourself if you know that you've got a great idea and you haven't gotten access to the funding because you rushed through the application process. Give yourself the time to do it.
I actually believe in the power of the crowd. I've seen it demonstrated many times, and I feel as if there's power in being able to harness the resources from a community to achieve your vision or your dream. And I would encourage everyone, if you're not interested in being in tech, you're not particularly interested in being an entrepreneur, what you can do to get involved is to, if you have spare resources or capital, inheritance, anything like that, is look at how the funds that you have available could be put to work. And I say put to work because there's no point in having your cash sitting in a bank account collecting 0.2% in interest for the next 35 years. This is not an investment strategy. So it makes no difference if you've got £1,000 or £10,000. Look at how you could potentially invest that, back some things that you believe in, and you've got a better chance of seeing a return on that if you learn how that industry of investing actually operates, and put the money to some good use. Because sitting in the bank, it's probably likely to go down in the future instead of going up, right? So you utilize the crowd and try and work in some sort of group that also enables you to have access to great opportunities to invest in things that have potential, pretty much. Sure.
Yeah, sorry. Just as you were talking, I had a thought, and it was just to say that a lot of people tend to think that when you start a product, you kind of have to just go all in at 100%, right? And yeah, you do. You have to be dedicated to what you're doing. But there's a lot of successful companies who have done it on the side. So there is nothing to say that you can't still work and also work, on your business as well. I'm going to say Black women, right? Because that's the majority of us in the room, are resilient, right? We work hard. We get things done, yeah? We're hustlers. So the companies that I'm thinking of who have worked and built their companies on the side, who have done really well, are Black women. So hey to us, yeah? But essentially, yeah, don't just think that because you're starting a business that you have to just give up what you're doing. If you was to speak to an investor, yes, at some point they are going to say to you, well, you're working and you've got this company, you've got to give it your all. Yeah, that's fine. But until that point, you've still got bills to pay, right? So don't think that just because you're working and you have to keep working, that you can't still build your business on the side. Like, hustle, man. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask actually, so obviously we've spoken about how, you know, how to get funding, and there's grants and access to grants as well, but it's also a cost of living crisis. Do we always need money to get started? Or would you say, like, in some cases it's better to prioritize having a good team as opposed to having the funds?
I'm not. She's a startup.
I'm trying to think of what advice I would have wanted at the very beginning. I think if you're building a tech company, it's inevitable that you're going to need some money. Unless you are a developer and you have that skill set in order to build, you're going to need somebody to help you build if that isn't your natural skill set. So you will need something. That doesn't mean that you need the earth. Like, you know, like we said, like 5,000 from a grant, or a, you know, even in some cases a few hundred, if you can put a prototype together. Like our first website was built in Squarespace. It was a prototype, built it in a few days. Squarespace costs like £25 a month. We weren't breaking the bank. So, you know, you can actually start quick and dirty if you think about it in a way that's going to be like sustainable. You can't be trying to break the bank at the beginning. You're testing an idea, and you have to accept when that idea doesn't necessarily go the way you want it to go. So if you invest all of that money into something and you're not sure, then you're kind of doing yourself a disservice, and your bank account. You're doing both a disservice. So I say you need some money, but think of ways you can do it that's sustainable for you based on where you are in your journey as, you know, as an entrepreneur. So I'd say that in terms of, you have to invest in the product first, and you also have to think about your team. So it really depends on your experience. So I had come from marketing / worked with a lot of really, really talented product people. So I learned a lot by the time I got to the point that I was ready to commit to building my own business. So I could rely on that knowledge that I'd built up over the years to kind of do it in a way that was really sustainable. I had enough knowledge in here to be able to do that, and enough people around me to pick their brains whenever I wasn't sure. So I could go to the CTO of the company I was working for. I could go to like the senior product manager and get some advice, because I was surrounded by really talented people who were also very giving with their time. That being said, I worked part-time and I still work part-time. I've always worked part-time actually in tech companies. It is possible. You can negotiate your hours, but that is the best thing to do, so that you make sure that you have money coming in so that you can fund your idea, and then also feel like you don't have anything that's looming over your head that you're worrying about, and then you have that energy to channel into building this product. I personally would say you need a bit of money in the bank. You need to be flexible with the way that you build it. You cannot be a perfectionist at the beginning. Build it in a way that's quick and easy, test it, put it in front of people, get their feedback, listen to their feedback. Do not run away with your idea because you like your idea. Listen to what people are telling you and adapt, because that's what it means to build a startup. When you're thinking about people, especially at the beginning, you've got two types of people that you're going to look for. Either like forever people. So if you're looking for like, I'm like taking care of marketing. So if I was looking for a CTO, I'm looking for a forever person, someone that's going to be there for a very long time, who's invested in the cause, who's invested in the business, who's going to like literally be there to build it side by side with me. So you've got like forever people, and then you've got people that are just there to help you along the way. So they might be like freelancers or contractors, and you need them now because you've got something that has to be done. They still have to be very good, but it doesn't mean that they're going to be in your team forever. So you can be a bit more flexible with those people. Do they have to be that invested in the cause? Not necessarily. They just have to be very good at what they do. So whether it's a developer or it's a marketing specialist or a data analyst, whoever it is you need to work with, they just have to be of a high standard so that you can get it done really well. That was a bit of a long-winded answer, sorry guys. But yeah, that's how I would prioritize it.
And just one thing to add, there's people here today that are in the beauty space, there's people here that are in the tech space. Beauty people can't necessarily build the product, but the tech people can. Connect, be co-founders. Do you know what I mean? That's one cost that's already gone, having, you know, let's be honest, right? So yeah, connect with each other. That's another point that I just add to that.
This is an interesting point for me, because I've been starting businesses since I was a teenager. I was a teenager, so I've had quite a bit of experience. Some businesses have been fairly successful. Some have been an absolute nightmare. So in both of those, you kind of learn things about what works and what doesn't work. So in terms of capital, in this day and age, I would suggest never spending more than £1,000. I'm going to say that with a caveat, because I know there are people I've come across even recently who've told me what they spent to get their business to the condition it is at this time, and we're talking about 10, 15, 20,000 pounds, and they haven't even yet got a customer. So this pit of capital expenditure is never end. It's as deep as you can imagine, right? So challenge yourself to spend only £1,000, and what that does is that it makes you become more resourceful and to find a way to fit what you need to the capital you have, as opposed to find the capital to meet the challenge. That's kind of that's number one. Number two, I would say, is in terms of team, people are drawn to wonderful ideas. They're drawn to enthusiasm, and they're drawn to commitment. So if you're able to show that you are passionate about the idea that you have, and you're dedicated, you are resilient, people are drawn to it. They love people who believe in what they do, and they will often come on board and help you to build your dream, because they like to support things that they also believe in. So being able to demonstrate that means that you can get a lot of things done, with the help and support of like-minded individuals, just by being serious and committed about the thing that you are building or working on. So it really stems down to you. What energy are you giving out? How are you in this for the long haul? Because why should I come and join your vision, your business, your startup, if in a year's time your Instagram accounts are not active anymore, or you're not answering emails, or every other picture you post is you on holiday. and I'm reliving some of the experiences I've personally had with other people who've told me, yeah, well, I'm building this is great and that, and every time I call them, I've just got back from holiday. I was great. It was this. It was that. Not serious, right? so commit, be passionate, be enthusiastic, and you'll be able to attract great people to come on board and help you build your vision.
Okay, I guess I have only like one more question for the day, and that is, what can people do to get involved in the beauty tech space, or the industries that you're in terms of, I think, Snapchat, the AR, like how can people do more, even if they aren't necessarily technically skilled? Like how can we, shout about the industry?
So I'm obviously not in the industry in terms of tech. But what I would say is, one of the things, and I mentioned it in my first answer, is that we need more people like us in the investor network. And we are going through hard times at the moment, but like Obi said, like your money sitting in a bank account is not doing anything for you. It's going to decrease in value. You're not earning anything. There are angel syndicates where you can invest as little as, like £500 to £1,000 into a syndicate, which will then go to invest into a startup company. And hopefully, that syndicate will use that money and spread it across various different startups. And at some point you will get a return. Hopefully, obviously it's a risk, right? But we need to be doing more stuff like that. And if you do have, if you're working in a job where maybe you get bonuses or anything like that, it's definitely something to consider. And again, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'll share some stuff about how to get into it and just to increase your knowledge on it. But I think that's one of the first things I would say. So just taking it off course a little bit. I think looking at investing into our businesses is one of the things I would say we need to do.
I'm actually gonna do that angel syndicate thing as well because I need someone to put my money. So, okay. I'm quite sick of sitting in like rooms with loads of people and not seeing people that look like me. It's really irritating. Diverse talent create the best software products. It's a fact. When you have people from different backgrounds, so different social backgrounds, different economic backgrounds, from different parts of the world, who speak different language, who all look different, and you have different skin and whatever else it is. That bunch of people are able to build products that reach so many more users than a small percentage. It's just a fact. It's not something I'm going to argue about. That's just what it is. So it's really, really important that people understand how much we need you in rooms like that, and how much the consumer industry need people like that. So I would encourage everybody just to find out, be bold, find different mentors. I have young, amazing Black girls who like reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'm just like, I want to speak to them and I want to share with them because I just think it's so great. And I wish that when I was young, when I graduated uni, that there were people that like I could speak to and share to about how to pull them in, shadow people, do interning. Don't devalue yourself, obviously, but try to get as much experience as possible. Become somebody that might sit on panels to do like user research. That kind of helps you be able to understand how to build products because you kind of understand the way that people talk. So when you get those emails that kind of like, oh, hey, do you want to help us out with a bit of research? Do that. Because that's people like me I send out those emails to you because I want to see how you're reacting to my software product, and then I'm going to like iterate on it, like test, learn, iterate. So do that as well. Connect, like literally don't leave here today without speaking or shaking somebody's hand and like saying hello and connecting. What else can I say? Just don't give up, like honestly, like, and also be confident. I think when I was a lot younger in my career, I was one of those irritating people that would sit in a meeting and that wouldn't say a word, and I just let everybody else speak because I thought they were all more important than me. They're not more important than me. Use your voice. Like, use your voice. When I became unapologetically Black and just myself, that's when my career started to take off. That's when I started to get my seniority. That's when I started to get promotion because I did not care. I don't care. I'm going to say what I have to say. I'm going to be eloquent about it, but my opinion matters, and I know that I'm good at what I do. And I promise you now, if everybody else does that, we're going to get far. So I think that's my last thing.
I'm not sure I have much else to add to that, but I think one of the biggest things for me is networking. I know that people say this over and over again, and you guys are going to hear it for your whole career, but it is not about what you know all the time. It's about who you know. How many times have you seen somebody in a position and thought, how did you get there? And it's because they knew somebody, not because they're better than you. It's because they knew somebody that you don't know. So take the time to speak to people. I'm usually quite introverted, so I find it really difficult when I'm in a room with loads of people. So if you are like me, if you're one of those people, set an objective when you come to a meeting like this. I'm going to talk to 3 people tonight, 3 people that I've never met before. I'm going to talk next time, I'm going to talk to 5 people. Next time, I'm going to talk to 10 people. It gets easier. Not everybody's extroverted. Not everybody likes like coming to big spaces with big crowds. Just make yourself get used to feeling uncomfortable, especially if you're breaking into a space that you don't know much about right now. Take the time to speak to people who know more than you do. And those people will help you get into bigger rooms. Those people will be the ones that back you because they're the ones that know you. So when you're getting into a place where you're becoming more skilled, you're becoming more advanced, those are the people that will be like, oh yeah, she should be promoted now, because you already knew them before you even stepped into the room. find people that can be your advocates and and find people that are in positions that you want to be in. I really, really believe in finding mentors. I think the first mentor that I found was I think she was giving a talk at like the Festival of Marketing. And she was like the woman that, has anybody seen like Sport England's This Girl Can campaign? Like that was one of my favorite campaigns at the time. And she was the woman that launched it. And I was like, I'm just going to talk to her. I'm going to see what happens. And, she ended up being my mentor for about just under a year. Things got really busy, so we weren't able to continue it. But for me, that was really eye-opening because it was a campaign that I loved. It was somebody that managed to put that together from scratch, who had basically built up the activity of women in England from 0 to 100. So find people that inspire you, speak to them. Don't be afraid, like nobody's gonna bite. And if it turns out that they're miserable, then you wasted 2 minutes of your time. You haven't really lost much because it means they weren't meant for you anyway. So it's no big deal, but it's fine to be scared, but just don't allow that fear to stop you from inching forwards. Think about the person that you need to become in order to get to where you need to go, and gradually work your way towards becoming that person.
I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, 100% echo everything you guys said. I think with networking as well, yeah, I think one of the best tips I got given by a manager was like, you can't underestimate how much people like to talk about themselves. And I think before, like, I started at a big company and I used to get nervous, like, oh, I don't want to ask that director to have 5 minutes or ask them to have a coffee. They love it. People love to talk about themselves. So like, it's actually, there's no shame in the game at all. Even when you're doing like LinkedIn connections and messages like that, like, I think one, just always ask. There's the worst thing that they can do is ignore you. I think when I go to someone to ask for like connection or a favor or something like that, always, even if you don't think you have anything to offer, I always end every conversation with, how can I help you? Like, and the thing is, a lot of the times they might be in a position where they might need your point of view or your perspective as well. So remember that it's a two-way street. So like, it's not always about like finding someone to help you on your journey. It's about being collaborative and also helping other people on their journey as well. Also remember, I think Issa Rae said something about not just looking to network at the people above you, the people beside you are the most important people. And I think I very much believe in that. I think we talk about sort of networking and people getting into different positions because they know someone. The whole idea of nepotism isn't really a Black thing, right? But I think the more we do that, the more when you have a role that's opening up, or oh, I know someone building this, I know someone to connect them with, you do it, but also you lean on your community and things like this where you can network and look at the people who are at the same level as you and help each other get where you're going. And yeah, I also want to go back to being unapologetically Black. Yes, first of all, I remember being told, like, it always used to seem like a weakness that you're the only Black person in the room. You're the most memorable person in the room, right? And like, sometimes hypervisibility is horrible, but use that, leverage it, right? They won't forget what you say. Someone else might say something and you might say the same thing. They said it so boringly. They'll always remember what you say. Use that, always use that. Always use the fact that they will never forget you. You are the only one that looks like them in the room, on the floor, in the building sometimes, and use that to your benefit. So I agree.
Thank you so much, Hannah, Jade, Eve, Lauren, and Ovi. We've had such an amazing panel tonight. Okay, I just want to give 5 minutes for some questions. If anybody has some, I can see a hand up already. Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Firstly, thank you so much for all the gems that you shared tonight. It's been wonderful, especially to be able to bring my daughter along with me. I've got a million questions, but I won't take up the microphone for the whole night. Lauren, I think it would be great if Silicon Bank were to go into schools and start teaching young girls about investments, index funds. This is how we get the power to understand how to invest our money and build capital. Can somebody elaborate in the next discussion on ethics? I'm not sure that we want to be klarnering hair I think that's problematic. And I think we need to, if we're going to build great tech, we need to look at ethics, which is my area of interest. The other thing I wanted to say really quickly was, when we're looking at tech poverty, we need to look at how we can bring people in. So I love the fact that you've spoken about the work experience and the girls that are reaching out to you on LinkedIn. I love the representation, but we can't be the only ones in the room. And the only way that I've seen that the Americans have grown beyond us is affirmative action. And I'd love to understand whether that's going to happen over here. Thanks once again. And I can't wait to attend the next information session. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. Yeah, how's life? So earlier you were talking about how some beauty companies have like foundation apps, or they sort of test your foundation, but it doesn't always work on Black people, especially people with darker skin tones. So I was wondering if that's the same with social media apps like Snapchat and TikTok, and maybe if they do create these filters, how are they based on? And yeah.
Why the filters show you to be lighter than you are.
Yeah.
And she wants to change that, but let's build the app.
I think you said it in that if you don't have diverse people in the room, it will never be, the tech that's being produced will always have inbuilt, not racism per se, but it'll always have that in there. So like bias, exactly. So like you were saying, like the answer is to have diverse talent in the room building this, because there's no way that they will build it for us without them in the room. So.
Can I just, no, like you're great, Mom. Like I love that you're here. And I love that you asked that question. And I love that you're so confident. I think it's insane. Like I absolutely love it, because you're going to be amazing when you grow up. Just wait. But it's about having, just like I said, diverse talent. When you have people that are predominantly that come from one place and have just like one singular background and have all their friends in one similar way, it's impossible. It's not impossible, but it's hard for them to expand their mind into different hues of our race. It is extremely hard for them to do that. So we just need more people that look like us, and we need to be creators, and we need to start things, and we need to take risks. Taking risks is the answer, and having people like yourself, you could start now if you wanted to. Creating that is how we're going to do it. So that's the answer.
Yeah. At Snapchat, for example, you can go there online. They've got an AR lens studio, and you can actually start building AR lenses and stuff yourself if that's something that you're interested in. And they've got a whole sort of suite of like tools to learn how to make AR lenses. And that's something you can look into as well, and start being a digital creator yourself if that's something you're super interested in. You can do it. There's it's on the website as well. But yeah, wait till you're. I agree.
Yeah. Hi everyone, thank you for speaking, all the speakers. It was really lovely to hear like what you had to say and all your experiences. I think someone on the panel mentioned about mentorship. So in terms of going about getting a mentor, how do you like approach someone? Do you directly ask, oh, like I'd like a mentor, like I'd like you to mentor me because of X, Y, and Z, or like do you indirectly ask?
I've always gone for the direct approach. It varies from person to person, but generally speaking, if you're talking to somebody that's super busy, getting to the point quickly helps, because because they know what you're looking for. And honestly, most people, even if they don't have the time, they will redirect you to somebody that does. So for example, a couple of months ago, I had like a young guy, he's a developer, he's like working part-time in a store at the moment, really wants to get into the, the tech space. I was like, I'm not a developer, I don't come from that background, but I worked with an incredible CTO at my last company. I'll put you in contact with him. I put him in contact with Martin, they now talk all the time. So I wasn't able to help him, but I was able to introduce him to somebody that could. But had he not been as direct with me, it would have taken more time. He would have wasted time. I would have wasted time. As long as you're polite about it, and it's like, I know that you're probably super busy, but do you have like 20 minutes that I can just like have a chat with you, even if you don't want to mention it in the message or the email? try and get like a conversation starting. If you know that they've written something, or you know that they've been on a podcast, be like, I saw this, or I read this, or I listened to this, and I love, what you're doing with your product, or I love the advice that you're giving. Just try to make it stand out a bit, because chances are they get messages like that all the time. So what you want to do is you want to stand out from their inbox or their DMs, whichever it is that you choose to like how you choose to contact them. You want to make sure that they read it and they're interested in replying. So that's the main thing. But be as direct as you want to be you, because they're going to meet you, they're going to speak to you anyway. So if that's your mode of being, do that. Oh, did you have
And for people that aren't really good at approaching people for mentors as well, Coding Black Females, we do have mentorship programs. So we've had ones by Guardian, we've got one running at the moment by Every Woman. And it's literally, you just fill out a form, you say what you're looking for, where you're looking for support, and we try and pair you up with mentors. We also have a mentor program within Coding Black Females, and we pair people up every 2 months, I think it is, with a new mentor, depending on what you're looking for. So whether that is within like data science, or whether it's with software engineering, whether it's more, whatever it is basically. We do that at Coding Black Females.
So I'm extremely keen on mentorship. I've been mentoring young people on and off for probably 15 years or so. And I think that it's essential in terms of community building to use the experience and the expertise you have. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Once you're of age and you've achieved a few things, it doesn't have to be world domination. You know more than enough to help a young person or an older person, or a person looking for advice and support, to help to guide them on their journey. And it's personally one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. One of my mentees is actually in the room now. I invited him to come. He's traveled a long way to come here. So that is a testimony to the power of us being in touch and helping to support the next generation. I think we're actually responsible for doing that. That should be a duty that we take at least one person on board. If you're able to do it at scale, please do. It doesn't require much time. It just requires commitment to do it. That special word, which I absolutely love. I might have it tattooed on my chest. Commitment. Yeah.
The only thing that I would just add to that is also in your message, just say what you can offer as well, because mentors like to be reverse mentored as well. So for me, as I said, like I work in the tech industry in terms of banking, so banking's my bag, but I would love to mentor someone that does tech, because I can ask them sometimes acronyms and all this stuff that people talk to me about, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. But if I had a mentee that I could actually say, listen, I had this conversation, like, can you help me out with it? That would be so amazing. Yeah, so just say what you can give back as well.
Thank you. I also have one more question. I think it's Lee. So is it? So I'm not very good with names. Yeah, I think it's, yeah. You said you worked for Charlotte Tilbury, and was it Burberry? So I was just wondering, how did you like kind of break into those type of prestigious companies? How did you get in? Is there any tips you could give to us?
Okay. Full disclosure. I was working, so I graduated in, I'm not going to say you got a year because I'm showing my age, but I graduated a while ago. I've got good genes, my mum's amazing. That's why I look so young, but I'm not young. But no, I'm not. I graduated a while ago and I started my career out at a digital agency. So I actually started a new business, but I was crap at sales, like absolutely horrid. And I quickly moved department to become a project manager, which was quite cool. And I ended up working for some like fashion companies, like I say it was ASOS at the time, but back then they were like new and hip. They asked whatever. Sorry, they were new and they were hip, and I was basically just kind of like running like little mini projects and stuff like that. And then I had a disgustingly horrible boss. Is everyone recording? Okay, I can't say that. Signed the contract, and I got made redundant. So hardship happens. Great, this wasn't easy. I got made redundant, and I was out of work for about 2.5 months. And in the first month, I thought, what do I want? Like, what do I want to do? Because I was working in digital when I was at that agency, and I knew that I loved digital, and I knew that I was good at it, and I knew that I was very, very, very intuitive. And I know that I just naturally like gravitate towards like fashion and creative, but I am not a creator, right? So I knew, so I started to understand who I am as a person and where my skills lie. And I am the knack, I am an organizer, and I am someone that is very strategic. So I mapped that all out. And then I just hammered. I just hustled and I hammered. And I applied for jobs at Burberry that weren't even in just the realm that I wanted to get into. So I wasn't just applying for e-commerce jobs. I actually started out in digital supply chain. And I was reporting to a director there who's amazing, I'm still in contact with, and I worked my ass off. I was there sometimes till 9 p.m. at night. Like I remember many moments, and I was the person that could do everything. I made myself that person that could do everything, absolutely. And I also not only did that, but I built relationships. I am a relationship builder. I can do that like that. I am fine. I can talk to anybody. I'm a chameleon. I can speak to them in the way that they need to be spoken to, need to take me in. I sell myself. And through that, I then started reporting to the vice president of customer fulfillment, supply chain at Burberry, and I got promoted and I got moved into a different project in omnichannel, and then I fell fully into technology and into product. And I was doing product before I got the product title, but that's fine because all we have to do is hustle, right? And I just carried on. And I started making strides. And then I got poached by Jimmy Choo, and I went there, and I was there for a couple of years as well, and I was doing products there in technology, and I was just building and building and building, and then it kind of just like, it kind of starts steamrolling, right? I made really good connections. I have people that I'm still friends with at Burberry now. I have people that, the new COO of Holland & Barrett was my boss there, and you know, he reaches out to me to look for people for like to be a new designer because he needs a new designer, and that's how it all happens. And sometimes I go to dinner with him, and it all just kind of like, it just becomes this spider web that is incredibly hard to unravel. You need to create a spider web for yourself that is like, if anyone just picks like one little like strand away, everything else is still there. You know? So you've got to do that. And then I left fashion for a bit and I went to beauty, and beauty was great, but I'm back in fashion because that's where my heart is. So yeah, and now I'm at a startup, and I've never done it before, but it's new. And then after I do the startup, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know, but it's going to be a fun ride. But it's just make connections, knock on doors, hustle. I know it's like, believe me, I know it's hard. I've been through hardship as well. Like I know, like sometimes it's flipping. It's so hard to like get up when people are saying no, but I promise you there's a way in. I promise you got to just find it, and you got to just be very strategic with yourself, and just be a relationship builder. It's okay.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Do we have a question?
Oh,
Do we have a question at the back? Could someone pass the mic? Oh, have you got a question there? Oh.
Oh, did you have a question?
Do you have a question? She was first. Okay, so we're going to take three more questions and 1 minute answers from the panel.
Well, the good thing is mine's not a question, it's just really a comment.
Okay. One more question then, and then
just a big thank you to all the ladies on the panel. Absolutely amazing responses to everything that's been said today. I just wanted to echo something Lauren and Ovi said around collaboration, partnership, and at the same time, community. We can't keep on going to outsiders because sometimes they don't really understand our business models. So I work for an organization called the ACU, it's short for African Cooperative Union. What we do is we have a community investment fund. It's FCA regulated. So we bring people together to pool resources, and we also invest in entrepreneurs within our community. So if anybody wants to holler, talk to me later, then, it's all good.
Add me on LinkedIn.
Thanks.
Add me on LinkedIn.
Thank you so much. If anyone does have any specific questions, I'm sure we'll have a bit of time to drift and grab a few snacks on the way out. So please approach the panel, and thank you all. add us all on LinkedIn. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hope you've had a good time and learned a lot. Let's grab a picture, definitely. And if anyone wants to find out a bit